Hi, let me welcome on stage. Our next speakers. It's Peter Zetterberg, head of Xbox Game Camp, and Esteban Lora, director of XTC at Xbox Game Studios. And it will be speech about details for Xbox Camp Ukraine. So I'm really welcoming you on stage. Tell us about Xbox Camp. Nice to see you.
Nice to meet you, Alexandra, and thank you everyone for having us.
Thanks for inviting us. It's a pleasure to be here, and pretty soon we'll be on your time zone.
Yes.
So a little bit about myself. Esteban Lora with Xbox Game Studios. I've been in the software industry for 30 plus years, always passionate about video games. Actually, my background is engineering, so I started as an engineer because of video games. I wanted always to see how the graphics work, 3D graphics in particular. So the early part of my career was technology, doing a lot of 3D scanning and having fun with that. I specialized then into business and partnerships specifically. And now I have the pleasure to have obviously a fantastic team that help all the first party studios that we work with. And of course, I have the pleasure to work with fantastic people. For Peter, for example, he and I co-founded Xbox Game Camp about 5 years ago or so. So that's why I tell people it doesn't really feel like a job. It's really a pleasure to work with so many talented people. So thanks for the invitation, and I'll pass it to Peter.
Yeah. Thank you, Esteban. Hello, everyone. I shouldn't exclude you completely out of the picture. Thank you, and hello. I'll change to the next slide. My background, I'm originally from Sweden, and even like when I was 15, 16 years old, around in the early 19th century, I loved to explore what the home computer could do back in 1982, 83, when I was just a young teenager. But that interest it kept on and wouldn't go away. Instead, it increased, I think, more and more the more capable the home computer and then later consoles got. So in 1992, I started to make games professionally. I wouldn't say my games were professionally made, but at least I tried. And then I started a game studio together with a group of people in 1992 that I was part of till 2002. But video games or computer games for me has always been this beautiful combination of self-expression, technology, kind of cutting-edge technology, storytelling, and art, all mixed and jumbled together into one. So I love what the industry is publishing every year in terms of innovation. I joined Microsoft in 2007, and for several years I also worked in business development. I was focused on more talent scouting, finding game studios around Europe to sign up for. It was called XBLA back in the day. It was Xbox Live Arcade, which was the preamble to ID at Xbox and the indie game publishing scene in our ecosystem. And I was just saying to Esteban before we started that the likelihood of us two meeting, Esteban from Mexico City, me from a sleepy little town in Sweden, it was tiny, but that's kind of the beauty of the gaming industry as well. It's a small industry where people are really well connected, and you meet people that you enjoy working with. And we had the pleasure of just meeting up and sharing the same values. And it kind of created a game camp, which is all about paying it forward and giving it back. Because of our privileges that we have as individuals and as employees at Microsoft, we want to use those privileges to do something good with our time and our efforts. So I will let Esteban, you can kick it off and talk about the program, and then we will talk about what our plans are for next week in Ukraine.
Absolutely. Thank you, Peter. So that's exactly the genesis and how Xbox Game Camp came to be, we realized that we were really having a very unique experience being surrounded by just the best talent in the industry. And we wanted to have a mechanism, a structure to give it back. And we realized that in the early days of Game Camp, we realized that in many cases, the bar to get into the industry is very high because it depends on where you are located, it depends on the language that you speak, it depends on the background training that you have. And became clear to us that there was a contribution we could make on structuring a program that could be deployed globally to empower marginalized communities from different backgrounds around the world to realize their potential in the industry. So we started talking with different people sharing the same ideas, the same perspective, and it started coming together right away. This was around before COVID hit. So we had the first program all set up to be deployed, and we have to readjust, obviously, in a world where it was hybrid. And actually, that was pretty good because it allowed us to even tap additional talent from inside our studios that we were not considering. Why we are doing this, and this is an important thing, because the program is not meant to sell games or Xboxes or to have any commercial activity. The program actually is pretty lean. The core Game Camp team inside Microsoft is very small, very efficient, small but mighty, as we say.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea here was to rely on the goodwill and contribution from a lot of volunteers from different studios. Some of them will be represented next week at our Xbox Game Camp in Ukraine. And that's one of the key features of the program. So as I mentioned, the program has been deployed. Now it's going to be number 11. We've deployed the program in different regions, in different countries. For example, this past summer, we have the second year of Xbox Game Camp Africa. So the program has that type of reach with a hybrid model where we have in-person and virtual models for deploying it. And we rally volunteers not only from Xbox Game Studios, which is the core team that creates content inside Microsoft, but from the broader Microsoft organization. We have different tracks, different backgrounds, different mentors across different disciplines. It's platform agnostic because we designed the program to be, we call the attendees campers, to be camper-centric. And that's really kind of the compass that guides us in deploying the program inside the organization and across all the partnerships that we have. So with that, I'll pass it back to Peter to give you more insights into Game Camp.
Thank you. Thank you, Esteban. And if you have any questions or anything, I don't know how they can come to us, but I have the comments section here open. So if you have questions and if they are curated or not, please just pause us and we'll stop and do our best to answer your questions. Here's more of a summary of what we've done in the past. You should know that Microsoft, we can't present without a PowerPoint. So that's just what comes with the package. So we've done a bunch of them. I've done 2 game camps in Sweden in the past to, again, pay it forward to a new generation of both immigrants and also second or third generation of Swedish citizens. We've done Asia and also we've done here in the US, both in the state of Louisiana with New Orleans and also in Georgia with Atlanta. So the focus is all about the value for the camper. So again, like Esteban said, it's not about pushing or selling devices or pushing for getting a game necessarily on Xbox. What we hope that the participants feel when they go through a game camp is that we're a good bunch of people, that they find us helpful, and if they want to talk about Xbox and publishing through ID at Xbox, we connect them with the ID at Xbox team. But if they want to do games on PC, phone, Steam, what have you, then we'd be happy to help them. We make no claims on any of the work that the campers produce. So if they make a game or a prototype and so on during game camp, it's theirs. They keep it. Again, we hope that if we like what we see and we see promise in the title, that the campers, that specific team, is open to have a conversation about potential publishing into the Xbox ecosystem. The reason why we have the LinkedIn alumni group open here is that anyone who has gone through Xbox Game Camp will be invited, and this is obviously completely optional, but they be invited to join our LinkedIn alumni group. We're approaching about 700 members, and the idea with the LinkedIn alumni group is that we see it as a town square in a way, where we want people to meet up. So whether you went to game camp in Singapore or from Stockholm or Gothenburg or Kyiv or let's say Nairobi or Lagos, Marrakesh, you should be able to come to the LinkedIn alumni group and just reach out to fellow campers if you need help, advice, or support, where people start exchanging ideas and also sharing of their time and expertise. So you are stronger together. That's very much the core idea behind the alumni group. So we have 400 participants at Xbox Game Camp Ukraine next week, and each one will be invited to join the alumni group if they so wish. As on the alumni, in the alumni group, we also have monthly job boards. This is a global focus, so it's not just US, and we don't just post job opportunities that are part of the Microsoft family. It's a very global, broad industry job board, and we try to cover as much ground as we possibly can. Many people have picked up on these, gone through interviews. Some people have got jobs, and some are still working on their resume to get a job in the industry. I think I can do one more, and then I'll hand it over to you.
Yeah.
The learning content is something that we are very proud of. So LinkedIn is part of the Microsoft group of companies, and the benefits and the privileges that we have as employees to work with other teams across this broad, large company is just amazing. And we leverage that not only when we go to and run a camp in a certain country. Like for Ukraine, we work very closely with the Microsoft Ukraine team and their leadership, and also the continental Microsoft European team, including also the Ukraine Ministry of Digital Transformation. But we can also benefit from using software and tools and services developed by Microsoft entities, such as LinkedIn. So they were very, very generous and donated, you can say, us a free LinkedIn Learning tenant that we have populated with hundreds of hours of video training and educational content. So by them providing this for us free of charge, we can then in return give access to LinkedIn Learning free of charge to all campers, which is an amazing benefit, not only to us, but also for the campers. They can actually reach all the content that exists on LinkedIn Learning as by having completed game camp. So on that LinkedIn Learning tenant, we cover all aspects of game development, but also on topics such as legal, what to negotiate and how to negotiate it, what to think about when it comes to your job interview or writing resumes, and all the way to marketing, but also in security and piracy and quality assurance. I see the next slide. See if there is. Oh, that's it. So we should talk about Ukraine. and I'll see if I can turn off, remove from the stage, and put us back together, maybe.
Sounds great. I want to double click on one aspect that Peter was mentioning, which is the breadth and variety of content that we are focusing on. And this kind of mirrors or believe that there are multiple paths for getting into the industry. So, of course, you can get the more traditional roles through development, engineering, writing code, or art. But when you think about all the elements and components required to make a game, there are even more options. Like, for example, you can be a marketing professional, you can be someone reviewing legal terms for game studios, you can be a musician creating soundtracks or sound effects for games. So when you put that into the perspective of the potential to create new jobs, that's huge. And that's one of the areas that we truly believe has a lot of potential for young talent to really wrap their heads around concepts like, for example, esports. Even what we've seen is, sure, you have the professionals competing with esports, but also there are people required to organize events, to handle the video cameras, to be professionals organizing those esports events. So when you translate that into the potential to specialize and hopefully find a job in the industry doing those roles, that's huge, and that's one of the areas that we within GameCamp also want to focus, because we saw it in our day-to-day. We have hundreds of people here that create the games that people love and play, but there are many professionals from other disciplines that are essential to bringing that project to life. Is, as I always share with people, half of the story is creating the game.
Yeah.
The other half of the story is to commercialize a game, to support the game, to be in the business of video games. And that's a very important concept that is also plugged into what GameCam is. Let's talk about GameCam Ukraine next week.
Yes, let's do that. So we can talk a little bit about the backstory to how it came about. It was Esteban's idea coming up, I think, 2.5 years ago, maybe even more, that I think the Russian invasion was early days, I think, and
Yeah.
you talked about having been to Kyiv several times.
Mm-hmm.
And we were in the middle of planning. I think we were doing Xbox Game Camp Sweden, which also have blue and yellow flag colors. If you see that, I don't know if you see. I painted my nails. My daughter loved it, so I do that in the Ukraine colors and Sweden colors. And the idea came up about why not Ukraine, and I was just blown away. I think that's the very definition of where we can combine doing good in terms of helping others, but also focusing on a region where you have really true talent with a long history of successful games and a I would say budding indie development community. So I think the idea started by us, and what we learned over our years here at Microsoft is there's likely someone somewhere at Microsoft that is involved to some degree in a country or in a program. So before you kind of start working in a kind of in your own path, in your own vacuum, you start checking around to see what other teams are doing. We have Xbox Social Impact that is headed by Jen Panettone here at Microsoft, who had started doing work for Ukraine, raising funds through the Xbox Live service and other things. So we went to her and asked her for advice, what we should do for next steps. That led us to speaking to the country manager for Microsoft Ukraine, who was very excited about the idea. And then he in turn pulled in more people. So we build a momentum over, I think, nearly 8 to 10 months. We we move sometimes maybe from the outset or from the outside seems slow, but I would say I would counter that by saying we move with intentionality, and I would say intelligence. So things might not go as fast as we want sometimes, but when we do move, it is with intention and with impact. So a year into our planning, we started to talk to the Ukrainian Ministry of Digital Transformation through our contacts that we built up internally at Microsoft. And they were very receptive to the idea and very supportive. But then we came to this point of, okay, so when are we going to do this activation, and how are we going to do it? And I think for 18 months, and feel free to step in, 18 months in, we found ourselves that we had everything kind of on paper, but we hadn't set a date. It's like some sort of psychological cushion, I would say. You say, well, that date is not good, or that date is too far. And we got to a point where we said, stop. We know it's not going to be optimal. Esteban and I had plans all far into this year of going to Kyiv, which we still would love to have done. But things changed rapidly, and we were advised not to. There are special decision kind of checkpoints to send personnel into certain regions, and it got us stopped there. And also we think about our families, but if we could, we would be in Kyiv next week. But we are going to be in Warsaw and broadcast live together with 11-bit studios who have partnered with us for Xbox Game Camp. Yeah. But we set the date and we said, well, we can't do it perfectly this time, so let's do it as best as we can. So Xbox Game Camp is a one-day conference that I would say is packed with superstars from both inside and outside of Xbox who are going to show their support to celebrate Ukrainian game talent and talk about just game development, the language that we all know when we talk about game design, or the challenges of making games, or the tough decisions that we make when we develop them. Those are the topics that we're going to cover next week.
That's right. And for me, it was obviously very close, kind of the notion to bring Xbox Game Camp to Ukraine. Because, of course, I always had a lot of admiration and respect for the talent from the country. And obviously, we see that in fantastic games and projects. And recently, I've been playing a lot of Stalker 2. And there are many other games and studios that I really admire, because not only their works are very good in terms of quality, creativity, and all that, but when I think about the conditions and the things are needed within a project in normal circumstances, let alone when you have logistics problems and you have to worry about power and connectivity and things like that, that to me speaks not only to the talent but also to the commitment to the craft. So that's one aspect that inspired me a lot and made me think about Xbox Game Camp Ukraine being special. But also I have the opportunity within my team to work with a lot of Ukrainian studios that create content for a lot of our own games. For example, Flight Simulator, the Call of Duty series, and whatnot. So that also speaks to the level of talent of many of teams that probably you in the audience may know or may not know. There's a lot of people from Ukraine that are part of those projects that create assets, that create code, that create different things that go into those productions. And I had the pleasure to work with many of them, and that was another source of inspiration to kind of materialize this project. So super excited about what we're doing. It's not going to be, definitely it's the first one, not the last. So really looking forward to probably some of you or many of you may be already registered for the event. I'm really looking forward to seeing you there next week. And with that, I'll pass it back to our moderator.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for the speech and for your initiative. I can see that, compliments for your nails. I can see compliments for your nails in our chat, like gorgeous nails.
I do
Yeah.
this or something. I
Oh,
don't think it's exactly the right blue and yellow. I know what yellow and blue it should be, but the ladies that I go to, they said that this is the best they could do. And I said, that's fine. They are now part of Xbox Game Camp Ukraine.
cool. We have like hashtag I see UA flag like everywhere, and
Yeah.
when Ukrainians somewhere in other country, or we can just see blue and yellow and make a photo with this hashtag.
I love
Yes.
it.
So,
It's a
yeah, your
beautiful
nails.
combination. Blue and yellow are really nice together. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like like a field and the air. Yeah.
And the sky. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
the sky. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I encourage our listeners to ask a question in the chat. Meanwhile, maybe let's provide the registration link for the event. Yeah, also put it in the chat.
So we closed the registrations last week, but we talked about how we can help Games Gathering to sign up. So we will provide everyone who attends Games Gathering with the link to the event. So you don't have to register. We will get you a link, and you just click on that link, and you will join the event at 10 o'clock in the morning, Kyiv time, on the December 12th. So we will get you that link, and if we can send it to you, Alexandra, then you can share it out to all the attendees. That would be great.
Yeah, we can put it in a Pine chat where all the all listeners who are listening now the speech can use it.
Yeah, I don't have the link yet. This is very Microsoft process. They create the link, I think, tomorrow. So, but if we can email it to you, Alexandra, maybe you can send it to all the participants at Games Gathering tomorrow.
Okay, you can email it to our team. Okay, we will contact you about this.
And we can talk about who's going to come and talk as well. I can walk you through a little bit of the speakers, and while people have come up with questions. So we're kicking it off with GSC Game World. Oh, wait, no, we're kicking it off with Esteban doing
a fireside chat.
A fireside chat with, do you want to talk about that one?
Yeah, we're doing a fireside chat with two Ukrainian studios that create external development work, Roommate Group, and People from Earth. Both are really active globally, and they are people familiar with Microsoft. So I had the pleasure to invite them for a fireside chat. So that's how we are opening and kicking off the
event. Yeah, and then we followed it up with GSC Game World. Is going to talk about working with ID at Xbox. So GSC, one of their lead producers and the head of ID at Xbox, Guy Richards, will be in Warsaw with us as well, and they will talk about the development with ID at Xbox and Stalker 2. And then we have Jens Bergensten, or Jeb, who is the Minecraft creator. Well, not Marcus created the original game, but Jens has really been the one driving it since 2012. Jens when he heard, we tried to get Jens to join our Xbox game camps in the past, and he's always too busy. When he heard it, we were doing Game Camp Ukraine, he was the first one to say, I want to be part of this. So we are very happy that Jens and Mojang are going to come and talk, and he's going to talk about the Minecraft design pillars and values. We also have another game studio that is coming out with a game in 3 days, I think. Machine Games. They are releasing Indiana Jones, which I'm super excited about. Typical boys game, I guess, like as a kid growing up watching Indiana Jones. Now I want to be Indiana Jones. So Machine Games in Sweden have developed that with Bethesda. They're going to talk about that. And then we have a whole other bunch. We have a technology company called Simplygon that will talk about their tool, how to optimize your games. We have, what else do we? 11-bit Studios will talk about this War of Mine, the game that they made. They use that for raising funds. They have a 10th anniversary for this War of Mine coming out this December. What else am I missing?
We have Jen presenting.
Jen Panettone from Xbox Social Impact to talk about how can you be smart with DLC in your games to raise money. How can you design your game so they can raise money, so you can make money and also create money that can go to benefits of your choice. And then we're finishing the day.
We have an EPAM as well.
Oh, EPAM, yes.
Yeah.
I think it's
partners.
EPAM is a large Ukrainian employer. I think nearly 10,000 employees in Ukraine.
Yeah.
They are speaking about AI in games. Great, thank you for reminding me. I should have a cheat note, but I don't have one. So it's a packed day. We are very excited to have everyone join us.
Mm-hmm. Cool, really interesting. So many speakers, and I was listening about the speakers and was thinking that it would be interesting for all game developers, not only for people who is like planning to port their game or develop their game for Xbox.
Right.
It would be interesting for game developers in general.
That's what we hope. It's a great
Mm-hmm.
point. We don't want it to be some sort of a place where you go and listen and then you feel like there's a pressure that you have to develop Xbox games. Not at all. We have this saying, and I like it when we say, when everybody plays, we all win, I think. So what is good for the gaming industry as a whole is good for Xbox. We have so many campers and been part of starting over 10 studios through Game Camp. And not all of them are working with Xbox. Some are doing Android or phone or iPhone games. Some are doing Steam. Some are working at PlayStation. Anyone who succeeds to get into the industry or can make a living, put food on their table by working in a field that they love. In this case, it's games. That makes us happy. Then our mission has been successful. And eventually one day, and I learned this, and I think it's also for Esteban, we both work in business development. It's all about relationship and trust. So if camper goes through our program and we don't see them for 5-10 years, and one day they come back and they launch a game on Xbox, that is a success for us, no matter what. So it's all about building a relationship and having a network of support. Even today, when I go back to Sweden, having been part of the very early days when there was no gaming industry in Sweden, I still feel that sense of community. It's not competition, it's community. And then we compete or let the marketeers maybe compete about, the games, but we don't necessarily compete. We compete about staff sometimes. We really want to hire someone, but the other studio got that person, or we lost someone to another studio. But as game creators, we don't compete. So therefore, we need to kind of work as a community to be strong together and learn from each other.
Yeah. I also really believe in community, and here in Games Gathering, it's like the biggest
That's
conference
what it's all about.
in Ukraine. Yeah,
that's very true.
And we are really excited to meet everyone this year, and we are really excited also to take part in your event. I also see in the comments that Yegor, thank you for the speech and the game camp. He missed the opportunity to take a chance to register, but as we've told previously, maybe
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's cool. Mm-hmm.
And also one thing about what we do, we never done one game camp in one country. We always come back. We're going to do Africa next year for the third time because the continent is massive. There are 54 countries, and the talent is not the talent. but the access to technology is very different from, let's say, Morocco, that is very reliable in terms of infrastructure and internet connectivity, while, let's say, in Kenya, on the East Africa, or Rwanda, it has less reliable infrastructure, but everyone has the same competence and same talent. So if we only went to a region or a country one time, we would make no sustainable change. But if we come back and we show up and we get to know people and understand their needs, we can make more of a change. So our plan is to come back to Ukraine for sure, absolutely, year over year. That's our commitment.
Yeah, not only like get acquainted, but
And then
start to build in relationship. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it comes back to community, like you say, about like Games Gathering. It's about community. So certainly Xbox Game Camp shares that ambition.
Yeah, and it's so important to support each other in community, to share some knowledge, some expertise, because next day someone will help you. And today it's also like a responsibility of every professional to help newcomers.
Absolutely. I like that. So I have this. What I think I've been trying to live by this value, and it's a good one. I think it's helped me. That it says you don't deal with companies, you deal with people. So even if you don't agree, let's say, negotiating a deal, and it doesn't work out with that company consists of people, and those people will move in their careers, and maybe they will leave that company and start another company. How will they remember you? Were you a person that they said, I'd like to find a way to work with that company or do business with that company? So looking at companies as individual people who do their best to get through the industry, I think is a healthy way of looking at it.
Yeah, I see that we have a lot of questions now in chat. Yeah, so let's go one by one. Yeah, the first one would be from Julian. Hello, thank you for the lecture. I have a question regarding internship or trainee programs. Will the partners provide them, and will there be opportunity to apply for those programs? It's unemployed student question.
Do you want to take it, or do you want to take it?
Yeah, that's a great question, because I'm gonna tie a little bit into this concept of community. I think one of the big differences in this kind of generation, right, talking about young talent, is the ability to network practically everywhere is possible through different tools. Can be LinkedIn, can be online, can be Discord. At events, Discord. So I think that's something that has a lot of potential for sure, because just the notion of, for example, being part of a program like Game Camp and have a mentor or connect with other people or with professionals or with what we call the equivalent of rock stars of video game development, it's a thing that didn't exist in the past. And I think that's something that can be leveraged to land, as Peter was saying, a job, volunteer in a project, or have some sort of involvement when it's three. And one of the nice things that we've seen with other campers from other game camps is you never know where you're going to end, but just by being proactive and engaging and talking to other people, if you have that real commitment, that's going to take you very far. So for us, we get inspired when we hear all these stories, especially people that have been passionate about games, video games, but for one reason or other haven't been able to really start a career. So Game Camp also attempts to help connect people from different backgrounds, different companies, with a hope to, in the case of someone early in career, connect with people that can probably help or boost that to the next level.
And I think it's important to just follow up on Esteban's point. We notice here when all these very busy game developers, when they are mentors for a group of aspiring game developers or campers, many times they get the same amount back or even more back by working with talent. So just know that even if you are a young student, you have this dream of working in games, but you don't want to knock on the door and say, excuse me, can you help me or be my mentor? Just know that nearly everyone we worked with, I would say everyone we worked with, who are professional game developers, they love to help. They actually get so much back from being helpful to others, so they find it fun to go to work again. We had a programmer who worked on Forza, the racing game, Forza Horizon, I think. And he told us after he was a mentor for 3 months, he said, you know what, I went to work every day. It was a bit rough sometimes. It was not that fun and exciting. We were working on getting the game out. And then I was a mentor for 3 months, and I met these people who were were like blank slates that wanted to learn everything. And I got energized about my job. I got to reflect on my own job by seeing their enthusiasm, and that gave him a kick in a good way about his job. So they say that summer camp is for the camp kind of personnel, not only for the campers. Everybody can win. So if you're new and ambitious, ask people to be your mentor. Just be brave. They will many times just say, yeah, sure, I want to help.
Right.
Yeah, mentoring, it's so resourceful for both parts,
It is, yeah.
for the mentor and for the
I get so
mentee.
much out of when I mentor. I have a lot of campers that I still talk to today on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Not every week can I make it, but every time I do, I get something from them. And the only thing they ask is my opinion, and I do my best to be of service. But after the phone call, I feel energized. I feel like, wow, this was fun. It's good. It's a very selfish feeling to be generous, because it gives you something back,
Yeah, actually, our next question pretty much related to this one, and also question about internship was really supported in the audience, yeah, and a lot of people thank you for the answer, and I see that there is people who are planning to meet you also on game camp. And let me read the next one. Hello, thanks for fantastic initiative. My name is Lev, and I am a game and narrative designer with 2 years of experience.
Okay.
And yeah, I'll be participating in game camp.
Oh, great.
I just go. Yeah, and I'm participating in a lot of game camps also, yes, as now, and I'm creating a game for my university diploma, and I want to find more talented people to join me in this journey. Can you give me any advices how to get most out of my networking?
Wow, that's a great question. First off, narrative design is my favorite area too. I love writing little stories and come up with interesting people and plots and places. Yes, so I can try to bite into this one. So obviously, under the circumstances where you live and work and study, it's hard maybe to meet in person, like regularly or predictably. So getting onto social networks with like-minded people, I think is the first I would do. If you are joining Xbox Game Camp, we will absolutely love to have you join our alumni group, where you can meet with hundreds of people that gone through a similar program, which could be helpful because then you have something in common, and that make you feel more comfortable. speaking to others. But it's really, again, like we said earlier, it's reach out on there are a lot of Discord channels that have developer or indie developer kind of forums, and introduce yourself and talk about what you're building, maybe show the work you've done so far, to give people a chance to see, I like that idea, I love to help out with that, I can make music for that, or I can do some kind of programming on the side for that project. So I think it might be hard sometimes to be extrovert. In game developers in general, we have this little bit of reputation of not being so extrovert. We are more introverts, we are thinkers, we are problem solvers, we are storytellers that sit in our room and think. But I think a big step is to take that step forward and say, hey, I'm working on this, I'm proud of this, what I'm working on, but I need help. Mm-hmm. So I think go out there and pick your social kind of media channels carefully, and build up a community around you, or join a community.
That's right.
Anything that?
No, I think you hit the main points. I think it's kind of a good opportunity, especially if you're going to be at Game Camp next week, to start talking with people that kind of share the same passion. And who knows, maybe that can be the first part of something in your career. So yeah, I'm curious to hear more.
I love to know more about this game, so let's make sure we can take a look at it. And I love the fact that you're working on this, and keep going. When I see updates from our alumni or people that didn't go to Game Camp, but they talk about their venture into game development, always try to be as positive and supportive as possible, because it's hard to make games. It's a mix of technology and art, and that's a tough kind of crossroad, if you like, to cover both angles. So hang in there, keep up the great work.
Cool. And Lev today received confirmation that he will be participating. So yeah, we are all happy for him in the chat. Yeah, yeah. And I see that Julian and Margarita, they are all thank you for answering all the questions and for all this inspiring.
Of course,
yeah,
and supportive words. Yeah, it would be really great to meet you one more time. Yeah, in the Xbox Game Camp. Yeah, and we hope that that this initiative be more and more times in the future. Yeah. Yeah, and thank you so much.
We can also send our LinkedIn details, so we can chat on LinkedIn. I'm very active on it. It's the only social kind of media I'm bothered with. But I do a lot of connections on LinkedIn. So if you, I don't know how to put that in the chat, but you search Peter Zetterberg. There shouldn't be too many of me. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah.
Or Esteban as well.
Yeah, you'll find us there for sure.
Cool. Then yeah, let's connect in LinkedIn. Yeah, and share ideas, inspiring thoughts, and helpful advice. Yeah, thank you so much for being with us. And yeah, let's meet on Xbox Game Camp. And yeah, have a good day.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Thank you for having us, and hang in
us.
there. We are inspired by your resilience, and we are grateful that we were given an opportunity to come and talk to you.